The attack on Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton joining me now with his analysis. He's a veteran of more than 30 years in uniform, including as a U.S. Air Force Assistant Vice Chief of Staff. General Newton, always nice to talk to you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Nicole, and to the Morning America team as well. Good morning.
All right, let's talk about this power plant. What does this attack say to you about Russia's strategy moving forward?
Well, it says a couple things. Number one, we should be very grateful that it appears that the fire is taken care of and there's no leak of radiation, at least according to the International Atomic Agency team there on the ground. But that said, it really shows that Putin is going to now very new lengths of attack and horrific assault on Ukraine. This is a target that in any military playbook from the West or democracy, or certainly the United States, we would not have this target in any stretch, any imagination under one of our options. In fact, we would avoid this target, this nuclear power plant, at all cost, because it is a high risk to civilians in terms of the radiation, but also really no military utility. So what this tells me is, as we've talked about earlier this week, is Putin is increasing his range of terror and will go to really no limits, or in this case. So it's a scary moment now for Ukraine, but also a scary moment for the free world, frankly.
All right, and let's expand upon that. So you say he's going to scary lengths. You say he is, ratcheting up his approach at this point. So do you think this changes anything about the mission of the U.S. military moving forward, maybe the military currently deployed to Europe?
No, it doesn't. But what I really want to highlight is that clearly that Putin is a war criminal. This act of terror of going after a nuclear power plant, but also going after civilian neighborhoods up in, Kharkiv and elsewhere, really indicates the nature of not only his power, but the lengths that he'll go to, continue the invasion. Now, back to U.S. forces. No, I do not see that. In fact, again, U.S. forces are being deployed as we speak right now in the thousands to Europe, and that will to bolster the defenses of NATO, but also to again, add to the confidence of the NATO forces as they seek to defend NATO and NATO allies and so forth. But that also shows the resolve of the United States that we will send our men and women again into harm's way to protect the freedoms of our close allies, and in this case, NATO forces and NATO countries. And so you see 82nd Airborne still, 4th Infantry Division out of Fort Stewart. You see the 5th Bomb Wing out of Minot Air Force Base. F-35s are already in place there. And so it's to bolster our defenses. Should conflict leak out of the borders of Ukraine, certainly they will be meeting with very strong NATO resolve, NATO forces, European forces, and as well as U.S. forces.
Speaking of that, NATO forces, obviously talking about U.S. troops right there, but what about the other supporting forces, German, British, French, all of those militaries? Do you think that this maybe changes their strategy with regards to sending troops into Ukraine?
No, I don't, because again, this is they will not act as individual countries. They'll act as part of the NATO alliance, which is made up of 30 countries. The Article 5 of the NATO treaty says an attack on one NATO member is an attack on all. But in this case, Ukraine is not a member of NATO. Nonetheless, the threat has heightened significantly. The horrors of the war have been played out again in our TVs and on our social media that we've never seen before. It will give pressure on the NATO partners as well as the United States to act, but in this case, I think restraint at the highest strategic levels is very important, not to act and get involved with boots on the ground in Ukraine, because remember, Russia also is they are a nuclear power. They have the largest arsenal of nuclear weapons and chemical weapons for that matter. So it's a very tough line to walk, but it's one that should be with restraint. There's a core of brinksmanship here. So you're on the horns of a dilemma. You see the horrors of war as we see on the screen now before us, but at the same time, you do not want to enter into any tumult of a World War III, and that would. But you do want to bolster your forces, be ready for all contingencies as we possibly can. Let other tools of national security work: diplomatic, economic, finance, information, military, and so forth. But it's a very tough morning right now.
It certainly is. Retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton, always enjoy speaking with you, getting your input. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.